This specific framing is a masterclass in environmental storytelling and slow cinema. Maintaining a single perspective for 10 minutes in the iyashikei healing genre isn't just a stylistic choice, it is a psychological tool designed to synchronize the viewer's breathing and heart rate with the pace of the scene. The perspective shifting from the bottom left to the top right creates what cinematographers call an ascending diagonal. In visual literacy, we naturally read from left to right. A line moving upward to the right suggests hope or growth or a distant aspiration. The right side of the frame often represents the future or the destination. By placing the MC here, they become the anchor of the scene. They aren't searching for the moment, they are the moment. After 2 to 3 minutes, the viewer stops looking for a plot point and starts noticing the micro details. This situation forces the audience into a meditative state. It transitions the scene from watching a story to sharing a space with the characters. This represents introversion or a shared gaze. Both characters are looking at the world together. They are unified in their perspective. By holding this for few minutes, the director is utilizing static dynamism. The frame doesn't move, but the feeling within the frame evolves. It turns a simple scenery into a cathedral of quietude. By shifting the entire world's gravity to the left the moment they see the beach, it is signaling a transition from the structured, forward-moving human world into the timeless, unstructured embrace of nature. When the characters gather on the left for a rounded discussion, leaving the ocean rolling on the right as negative space, the director is utilizing heavy light composition. The cluster of characters creates a dense visual weight on the left, while the rolling waves on the right provide active negative space. The frame is perfectly balanced not by symmetry, but by putting the warmth of human connection on a scale against the vastness of nature. In the digital age, the scrub bar, like on YouTube or Netflix, is a constant rightward pressure. It represents the end of the video when it directs to the right edge. So, the director is utilizing the shimote exit. In theater, this is the side used for retreating, reflecting, or disappearing into the background. It signals a softening of the character's ego, which means they are no longer the protagonist pushing forward, but they are just humans blending into the scenery. By moving the characters to the left, the director creates visual friction against the playhead. This is a professional technique to decelerate the viewer. If the characters move to the left while the playhead moves to right, the viewer feels a subconscious of slowing down. In iyashikei, this friction is used to keep you in the present time, rather than looking forward to the end. In yoshikei, a character looking into wide negative space isn't just looking at a wall, they are inviting the camera to follow their gaze. By facing left toward that empty frame, the character is essentially opening the door for the audience. At this moment, the viewer subconsciously expects something to appear from the left or for the camera to move in that direction. This makes the cut to the outside frame feel seamless rather than jarring. In this raining scene, the healing element is amplified. In iyashikei, the rain isn't just a weather event, it is a shared experience. So when the director keeps the character focusing on the right frame and the events on the left frame, the director is creating a persistent visual dialogue in this scene. It's just like the rain is talking to the characters, the rain at the left frame and the character at the right frame. Why Mum always at the right side of the table? It's called the camisa, or upper seat logic that applied to the camera. In professional Japanese media production, this isn't just good framing, it is a strict adherence to saho, which is etiquette, and kaikyu, rank. When you see the mother on the right, the director is visually acknowledging her as the head of the household or the provider. In the language of kamite, the right side of the screen is the seat of honor. It commands authority and respect. While on the left, the scene establishes Serifu as the learner or the protected, because she is in the seat of the humble observer. This scene also creates a visual slope. Our eyes reads from left to right, moving from the smallest or simplest element to the most significant element. It reinforces the order of the world, which is a key psychological trigger for the healing of iyashike effect. If the world is in order, the viewer feels safe. In this anime, the director treats the object with a sense of wabi-sabi, finding beauty in the humble or imperfect. It makes the viewer feel like the character is serving the object rather than boasting about it. By consistently placing the character on the right frame and their craft work on the left frame, the scene is establishing a visual philosophy of result versus origin. In professional cinematography and art theory, this specific arrangement tells you a very specific healing message about the relationship between a creator as the parent of their work. The host's paradox in Japanese staging. We'll show you when the bucho, or leader, is the homeowner and the one teaching, her move to the left is a high-level directorial choice that shifts the genre from instructional to omotenashi, or hospitality. In professional cinematography, when a leader occupies the lower side of the frame, it is a technique called subservient authority. By placing herself on the left, she is visually giving her home to her friends. It tells the viewer, "This is my house, but for today, you are the most important people here." This is the peak of iyashike. There is a difference between a boss and a teacher. If she sat on the right, she would be like a judge watching them work. By being on the left, she is the one moving, fetching tools, and entering the student's space to help. It depicts her as a working leader rather than a sitting leader.
When you see this scene, it seems like a normal thing. It looks ordinary for us, but this is a very mind-blowing scene for cinematographers and filmmakers. Actually, there are reasons why this composition is such a brilliant masterpiece. The second episode of the Watatan anime, directed by Saitama from One Punch Man. It's full of unusual meaning if you're very understood about composition meaning and visual storytelling. The connection between the moment when she was getting caught cosplaying makes this scene feel more like a desperate situation. Two objects that forming a straight line create the illusion that she is in an emotionally pressured space. As you can see in this divided main area in this scene, it has been used diagonal composition, but it's just too naturally to be noticed. This isn't merely an aesthetic choice by placing her lying weakly on a bean couch. The position of the laptop, the position of the camera, is a form of visual storytelling that tells the feelings of the character through dynamic visual forms. Another composition appears when the blonde girl shows up to be introduced to the big sister. The composition you see here creates a connection between the three characters standing in front of her, using the big sister's perspective that's shot from behind her, just as she faces the character who knows her secret. The situational irony in this scene builds up the perfect comedy, making you wonder what kind of expression the big sister might have, until the scene finally reveals big sister's face, which is then combined with a sincere smile from the blonde girl, creating a sarcastic contrast to what the big sister actually thinks of her.
Konnichiwa.
A situation that feels pressured and in a pinch makes this composition becomes especially interesting by prioritizing the character's emotional state in relation to their surroundings. For example, showing them lower in the frame, or looks like being trapped, or she is appearing small by using a deep stage and wide shot.
ノアは今日転校してきたんだけど、うちの隣に引っ越してきたんだって。
It feels like being trapped, but it doesn't mean that the character is literally trapped. Instead, it turns them into a singular element that demands special attention. Just like how the big sis sees this girl as a threat simply because she knows the secret that big sis has been hiding. You need to understand that this scene depicts a fierce battle that creates a situation of passive-aggressive comedy.
Round 1. Fight!
The composition shows the big sis trying to hide her secret, while the blonde girl launches the first attack by declaring, "I know your secret."
花が着る代わりにお菓子をあげてるんだぞ。作った服。
Then, big sis defends herself by dodging the attack. The blonde girl strikes again with deadpan. And big sis defends once more, though her defense starts to weaken. The blonde girl attacks with even more force as the camera more close up. This time, big sis's defenses were truly on the verge of collapsing, but the blonde girl suddenly called a ceasefire.
いい趣味だね。
Even though big sis reveals her expression because the blonde girl didn't expose her secret. Hilariously, out of nowhere, this girl launched a direct missile strike right into big sis's territory.
でも作るだけでお姉さん着ないよね。
Even her own sister has never seen her cosplaying.
そう？
So I literally forgot every time I bring topic that was not about direction or camera perspective. Instead, colors as the topic in the video. The views significantly decomposed. I don't really understand why YouTube keeps ranking videos with titles about color at around 10th and rank by views. Is color in animation really that uninteresting? Even though understanding color is actually important in visual storytelling. Just like in this scene where the hazy, misty colors transition into bright, vibrant, and cheerful tones, when the strawberry girl meets her lively and energetic new roommate. Well, Moeta might not be that good with these cheerful vibes, so she steps back into the mysterious place. This technique might not be familiar to some people who can use it unconsciously just like genius creators. But for those of us who barely know how to create beautiful visual art, this technique is really important to know. While this anime basically tells the story of Moeta, who isn't particularly talented, but is surrounded by skilled manga artists, allowing her to learn and understand the natural talents her friends possess.
ズバリズボシ。ズボして仕方ないよね。
Perspective and camera angles are crucial in animated content and film, especially if you want to save on production cost and time.
ジュリエット。
Did you notice something in this scene? But it's not just this scene. Almost the entire episode of this anime uses a similar art style.
はい、お待たせ。
As far as I know, this kind of art style has become a favorite among indie creators chasing trends on social media. But what exactly are we talking about here?
プリン、美味しかった？
If you take a closer look, there are no shadows at all. Yes, we're talking about the animation art techniques used in this anime. Some of you might feel a sense of nostalgia while watching it because this art style might remind you of Summer Wars, or maybe another anime that used this particular soundtrack. I cried when I was a kid watching that anime, so if we back, this anime almost completely avoids using shading on its characters. It's kind of similar to scenes set in full shadow or when light spreads evenly, but not this evenly. Take a look at this scene. When Jopko pulls on Purin's jacket sleeve, the animation makes perfect use of lines to show the folds in the fabric, without needing to add any shading to the colors. However, you can see for yourself how the visual depth in this anime is created through the line style and the clothing designs they wear, where the contrast between dark and light colors in their outfits creates a very interesting visual illusion. Even though there's no gradient shading on the characters, just a small bit of black shadow here and there. This technique seems to limit the color composition and line input used for each character. So there's no complex shading that often increases the animator's production time. And that might actually give them more time to correct and refine the drawings in each frame they created. But even so, the work of the background designers seems to carry a lot of weight in this anime. Because creating backgrounds without making the character composition feel unbalanced is no easy task. Like in this scene, the visual depth is created when the bathwater splashes out and spills over, followed by a shot of the wet bathroom floor caused by the spill, which the scene only shows the center line and flat colors of Jobko's face. When you see the movement of her head, timed perfectly with the moment the water spills out of the tub, it creates a visual depth illusion that directly conveys the distance between Jobko and the edge of the bathtub. So by this minute, you're probably starting to realize what we're talking about. That creating depth and perspective in animation can be done in unique ways, such as combining some scenes with different camera angles or using animated movements in supporting elements around the characters. But what's most interesting is how they use camera angles and clothing setup on the characters to create a sense of volume that still looks visually pleasing, even without any shadow shading on the characters. I mean, like Serafu's position in this scene, which creates visual depth thanks to a strong diagonal perspective, even though they're in a tight space. Keep learning and keep creating content. See you in the next video, and leave a comment if you have any anime titles you'd like us to break down from a technical perspective. Thank you.